Hey, welcome back. It's Super Tuesdays again. It is the OnFire show. You're here with myself, Darryl McKell Brooks.
Joe Ciano.
Neil Schloss.
And it is the 10th, and we got a lot of information that's happening. We got some...
10th of March, right?
Yeah, it's the 10th of March.
Just beware the Ides of March.
Oh, yeah.
5 more days.
5 more days.
What was that, when Caesar...
When he got stabbed in the back by...
Cicero?
I said Mark Antony.
Mark Anthony?
No, Anthony. Yeah, it was Mark Anthony.
Mark Anthony.
Yep. Cicero, they rebelled against him.
Okay, well, maybe we shouldn't...
He was a populist and a militarist.
All right, a great rebellion may happen in New Jersey in 5 more days. You never know.
How about tomorrow?
Yes. But we're gonna
tomorrow, baby.
Tomorrow is awesome.
Got my court date.
All right.
Big throwdown.
Big throwdown.
State of New Jersey
State
versus
of New
Neil
Jersey.
Schloss.
He's wearing a wrestling shirt. He's so psyched up. He's going to take one and slam him.
I am ready, boys and girls. I got some great legal paperwork to bring tomorrow. State has not answered any of my questions.
Mm-hmm.
They won't even respond to me, which I think is a problem.
They can't handle the truth.
All right. But one of the things...
That's right.
But one of the things that we're definitely going to talk about is... Emailgate, Hillary, and we got some guests coming on the show.
Yeah, we have 2 guests. We have an author from Florida, Bill Muckler, a former Marine like Adam Kokesh, and one who, like Adam as well, sees some serious flaws in that we've departed from our founding principles, and wants to talk about it. He's got a book called 2020, Prescription for Restoring America. And then we have our old friend Patrick McKnight. He's actually a young friend, but Patrick McKnight from the New Jersey Libertarian Party.
He's going to call in tonight?
You said he was calling in. Did you move him for this week?
Because he didn't show up last week with the snow. He didn't show. It was us.
We didn't show.
We didn't show. He wasn't sure if he'd have time tonight. Okay. So I texted him. We'll find out if he's going to be calling in.
All right.
We may or may not have Patrick McKnight.
Oh, wow. And so today's a great day. It's Tuesday, and we got a lot to talk about. And, one of the things I just want to say, I had a great weekend. And I'm sure I had a great weekend. Joe, you had a great weekend?
Oh yeah, I was waiting for the introduction of the Apple Watch, so the iWatch.
Oh my God! So you're gonna spend $300?
Oh, I'm gonna buy one for all my friends.
All right, Joe, you're our hero.
Yeah, it's got a battery that lasts 3 hours.
That's it.
Yeah.
Hey, and again, it's people who just joined us. If you're on Channel 2 and having some technical difficulties, Channel 3 is also airing us tonight, so we're airing through 2 different channels. Channel 2 and Channel 3 on HamiltonRadio.net. So
HamiltonRadio.net.
Please switch over if you're having trouble hearing us.
Yes, and I lay back all day Saturday and Sunday, watch television, watch the news, smoke some cigars, relaxed.
I've been working.
Yeah?
I've been working nonstop on my case.
Oh, lucky you.
Well, because, of course, my case is important that I got to win, plus I put damages in on the complaint against the state. So I told them I'm going to charge them for my billable time.
Oh, wow.
So that's the $500 an hour.
$500? Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
$500 an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, they're irritating me that much that I have to charge them $500 an hour for them to stop annoying me.
Wow.
So we'll see.
Wow.
So I got a nice bill ready for them to hand in tomorrow to the judge to say, Judge, this is part of my billings from my office, my staff working on this very serious case for a $175 cell phone ticket, which, again, the police officer said that I was driving hands-free. But the prosecutor said to me that he was just being sarcastic.
Yeah.
Sarcastic?
A sarcastic police officer. Sarcasm. Yeah. It'd be like being pulled over for speeding and saying, so what did I get pulled over for? For not speeding, and then just give you a ticket for speeding.
Wow. Sound like something in Ferguson.
So no,
it sounds like did you hear what happened in Ferguson, right?
No.
Where you been?
I've been working, dude. Nonstop on my case.
You're talking about like Michael Brown?
Yeah. Well,
the recent
verdict came down with the Attorney General. Said they did an investigation and found out that Ferguson, the police department, 2 police officers have left. 1 judge has resigned. What Ferguson police officers were doing were giving people tickets, all types of tickets, fines, and everything else, and just illegal fines, illegal tickets.
Well, what's illegal tickets? Because that's the question I ask.
If you're driving, if you're driving 50 miles and you're supposed to be driving, 50, you're driving 50, you go 1 mile over. You go
60 miles an hour, you're speeding?
Yeah, no, 51.
51. All right, 51.
And they write you a ticket. if something's not right on your window, or it was one of those things.
Sure.
Fines, crazy fines.
It's a fundraiser.
Yeah, fundraiser.
It was a police fundraiser for the town.
It was definitely shakedown, and one of the judges, he said it in an email. I mean, it's like, listen, they was excited they can get $2 million out of Ferguson, out of the people. Ferguson.
Well, what's funny was I'll be jumping back to my case because I had.
We see how it is when the Attorney General says that Ferguson is doing. What we're doing, we're legal.
Everyone's doing that.
Yeah,
every town.
He had to come up with something.
So the prosecutor, of course, after looking at my ticket, says to me, Neil, it's just $175. And I said, listen, I have my wife reaching into my pocket. I have my kids reaching into my pocket. And that's enough. Like I work hard for a living. I don't want the state reaching into my pocket for this. Yeah. This is beyond ridiculous. That I even have to defend myself when the police officer on the record in the video says that I was driving hands-free. Mm-hmm. And her response was, that was sarcasm as well as...
So you were driving hands-free. Was one hand somewhere else and the other hand was in your phone? I mean, what was it? Or
at best of my recollection was...
What did they say you were doing?
I was driving up the turnpike talking. I talk all the time.
Talking what?
To a friend.
On the phone? Did you have the phone in your hand?
I don't remember that part.
Okay.
I remember I was driving up. I was looking out the side view mirror, and there's a car driving up the fast lane, like a speeding bullet. I mean, you knew that this car was speeding, right? I mean, if it was a 65-mile turnpike, he had to have been going 85, 95 miles per hour. I mean, I was like, holy cow! Hopefully he doesn't lose control and hit me. Mm-hmm. So he passes me, jams on his brakes, and gets behind me and turns his lights on. So it's an undercover cop.
It was a setup.
And he pulls me over. So I had no idea what I was getting pulled over for. I was just literally driving up to deliver a motion for the Murray Sabrin campaign, because he is getting the campaign is getting sued by a guy who had no contract to work on the campaign, and now is claiming that he's owed money. That's a little strange stuff happening out there.
Okay.
So anyway, he pulls me over, and like I said, he says to me, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" I said, "I have no idea." He goes, "You were talking on the phone." I said, "No." He goes, "You were on your cell phone." I said, "No, I'm holding the cell phone right now to record you." Mm-hmm. And he goes, "Well, were you on your cell phone?" I said, "Are you asking if I was talking on a call?" Because of course I was talking. I mean, I talk all the time. And he goes, "Well, you were on your cell phone, hands-free. Stay in the car. I'll be right back."
Okay.
And he comes back and he gives me a ticket saying I was not hands-free.
Okay.
So
what does it mean, hands-free?
It means that he was using a Bluetooth device to talk. You drive in most cars now. In the new cars, you don't have to hold your phone in your hand.
You can have.
It has a built-in microphone and a speaker, so that's the way you're supposed to drive, and I'm sure that's the way that Neil was driving.
So I'm talking about what his hands-free. I mean, his hands are not on your hands are not on the steering wheel.
That
means your hands free.
No, he means your hands free from the device, from the cellular device. You're not driving.
Yeah, no,
like
I mean,
this.
I have this on speakerphone all the time.
Yeah.
I'll lay it right on the dashboard while I'm talking. I have right above my on my visor hands-free device as well.
Yeah.
So, and like I say,
because I didn't know. I dated a girl, and she a few times drove hands-free.
She drove hands-free?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I used to know a guy who could drive hands-free, too. He used to use his knees.
No,
he would smoke a
the
cigarette.
knee-
He cleaned the windshield.
Yeah, she can. Her knees would drive.
I used to drive that way also.
Oh, my God, are you crazy?
I used to drive. My Mazda 626, the steering wheel was so perfect that you could put your knees up on the steering wheel and kind of...
That's crazy.
I mean, I did it. When we were young, driving across country, my friends and I were driving, let's say in Kansas, which if you look at a road, it is straight. I mean, straight as can be. So as long as you keep the car going straight, you're safe.
Yeah.
So we would switch drivers at like 80 miles an hour, driving down a road. Because, again, it was easy. You slide the chair back, you hold onto the steering wheel, someone takes over the steering wheel, keeps it going, someone slides in. And, those days, and nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Good old days.
Good old days.
And the species survived. Population grew.
The great 80s.
But if I crashed, then, of course, it would be my responsibility.
Right.
All right.
But, the $175, it's funny you say that. Remember, a few years ago, remember Howard Dean, Screaming Man? Anyway, he had mentioned, the prosecutor says it's only $175. They expect, okay, yeah, that's a lot, but it's not that much. It's a pain in the ass. I'll pay it, and I'll go away. And Howard Dean had said the same thing about the way that progressive government's supposed to work. He goes, we want to tax the producers, but we have to find the exact balance where we could tax them enough that we could extract the money, but not discourage them, from continuing to produce. That's the whole idea of government. The anti-Galt government is stealing just enough from you so you continue to take more. They can't take it all because you'll stop doing anything.
And that's what you're looking for inside Ferguson right now. What's happening in Ferguson?
And that happens everywhere, though.
I mean, yeah, and it's crazy, and and it's 90% of the arrests were African Americans, and African Americans represent 67% of the town, and it's crazy the money that they're making off the people, the poor people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's It's just,
well, they do that, and then
sense.
All across the country, all these police departments are doing all these civil asset forfeitures. Mm-hmm. You drive down the road in your new Corvette, and they say, "Look, you know what? I think you're using this to transport drugs. Thank you. So I'm taking it, and then we're going to sell it."
Yeah.
I mean, government agencies are definitely on the prowl these days, plain and simple. Like, they are sending notices out. They're basically trying to get money from you.
But isn't it strange? I'm comparing this, and I wanted to say this something that. When you look what's happening all around America, and when you look at the Tea Party, and you look what's happening in those African-American communities where they talk about the racism, one of the things is you can compare when you have African-Americans are crying racism, racist police department, racist military, racism.
I think that might be our guest.
And then you have you got a guest?
Yes.
Hello. Welcome to You're on Fire.
Bill Muckler here.
Hello, Bill. It's Joe Ciano. We got Darrell Brooks.
Hello.
And Neil Schloss over here.
Welcome to the OnFire show, Bill. Bill is a published author, a former, a retired Marine, and someone who has seen some serious problems with America and has written a book to take us through his point of view. So, Bill, why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about yourself, and then how you evolved into writing this book.
Okay, well, the America I grew up is what my vision is all about, and it was about the Constitution, freedom, liberty, entrepreneurship, ownership, etc. And I had a pretty stable upbringing, which I think I was very fortunate to have. My parents stayed together all their lives. I went to the same schools, graduated from the University of Missouri. And after graduating, I was accepted into the Marine Corps Officers Candidate course, and I was able to successfully get through that program and become a commissioned officer in the United States Marine Corps. And I guess I'll never forget the day that I stood there in Quantico, Virginia. I raised my right hand and swore to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, and I still take that very seriously. And what I see today is America that's not the same as it was before, and so I wanted to share my vision for that. And I see many people are very concerned about the direction of America. And I'm one of them. I'm sure a lot of us are. In fact, I talk to people, and I'll ask them questions about, which political party you think is doing best for America. And they say they don't like either one. They don't like any of them. They hate politicians. And I guess we can see that with the low approval rating of the Congress, being 10 to 12%. So I always had this vision, and I always looked for solutions. So I thought, I got to write this down. I just can't be a person who talks about things. I can't be a person who tells other people, what I think. I need to write it all down and commit to it. I need to be all in and say, okay, I've committed to what I believe, and I've written it down. And so that's how the book came about and how I ended up, publishing the book, and I had to publish it myself because no one else would talk to me about it, and I'm glad I did it that way.
So Bill, it's Neil Schloss here. It's a pleasure to have you on. I gotta say, so you are now, since you took the oath to defend the Constitution of the United States, I mean, if it came to a point where the militia needed to form, if you want to follow the whole history of America, where you would form a militia to take back the government of the agencies of government because they're abusing their powers, would you be willing to do that? Or are you more of a person to, at this point, fight through the legal system?
No, I don't believe in militias. I couldn't be that because I'm still always a Marine. I see it as going through the legal system, if you will, the constitutional system, and implementing the solutions that I developed. And so my book is all about solutions to give us a smaller, limited government, to change the entire tax system, to provide education and training for all people. In my book, I explain how I feel like every person in America is important, each and every one of us. And there's about 320 so million people in the United States. Everyone is important. We just have different roles to play. So if we have half of the 320 million that are actually producing and the other 160 million, are somehow, either being destructive or not producing and so forth, what we have to do is we have to find ways to get those other 160 million people to be law-abiding, producing citizens, so we can make this country great again. Because I believe that if everybody has jobs and we have a strong economy, a lot of our problems are going to be solved because people aren't going to have time to either be destructive or to not produce or not contribute at all. I guess rather than saying producing, contributing to the country.
Now, can I ask you? You brought up education, and you said everyone should have an education. But the question for me is, should the federal government be in charge of education?
No, I think the federal government needs to stay out of education. In fact, there's nothing in the Constitution that says the federal government is responsible for education. I think government is best at the lowest level, and I think education is best at the lowest level. And I really think, in my book, my 2020 vision is to have an educational system whereby parents receive vouchers for their children, and they can choose the school of their choice, but they also need to participate in the operation of the school. So, what my vision is that people start taking over responsibility for themselves, their families, their children, and the children's education, and that's the only way I see that it's going to work. I don't see how education can possibly work if we have a bureaucratic government running it. Let me tell you a little bit. Is that answering your question, or would you like for me to go on a little bit?
No, that answers my question. I got plenty of other questions, but I don't know if Joe or Darryl have any questions.
You can go ahead, Bill.
Yeah. Continue on with the education?
Sure.
Okay.
Bill, Joe. Go ahead, Joe.
Go ahead. No, I think Neil was fine with that. I think you were moving off in a different direction. I guess just like I know that we say where the country has a lot of problems. Just taking it from the top, what do you see as the road of these, and what do you think in a priority, or where do you start addressing the issues that America has?
Well, the first thing we have to start with is the United States is built on a free market capitalistic system. And so what we have to do is we have to have a strong economy. If we don't have the money, we can't afford to do anything else. So we have to have a strong economy. And some of my solutions are, as I did a lot of research, I found out that corporate taxes, for example, most people, they say, well, we got to really tax the corporations. We got to get the rich people and so forth. But my research shows that the corporations are really owned by stockholders who are people who invested in America, and they're, school teachers, firemen, businessmen, small businessmen. You and I, we're the ones who did that. So I tried to find out, okay, if we have a budget, and I'll just use some round numbers, of say about $4 trillion, only about $300 billion of that comes from corporate taxes. But the corporate taxes are really stifling growth in America, and it's causing companies or corporations to go overseas. So do we really need to have a corporate tax? And really, corporate tax causes prices to rise, which is, in a sense, a tax on the consumer. And it also keeps wages down, which is another tax on the worker. So if we eliminate corporate taxes, I believe this very strongly, that our economy would really boom. I think we would have the most robust economy we could possibly have. Corporations would be coming to America to invest here. They would be bringing money here. Everybody would be generating more and more capital and more investments in America.
So you want us to talk now?
Yeah. So, Bill, why are we not doing the corporate tax right now?
I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I couldn't understand the question.
Okay. So, what's the problem right now with America and not doing the carbon tax?
Carbon tax?
Is it the carbon tax, right?
Corporate tax.
Corporate tax.
Yeah, our corporate taxes are the highest in the world.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I'm a CPA, so I can speak I have 22 years experience dealing with taxes and understanding this code that's been written out there. And when Dr. Paul came on the scene and he talked about pretty much a zero tax for the American people and even for corporations, the idea is simply, if you feel the government needs funds, my suggestion as a CPA would be July 1st, you have a database that collects the amount of money that a person is volunteering to take from his pocket and give to the government. And by the end of the month, you'd have the exact amount of revenue that you're going to receive for next year's budget season. And you have to live within that number. I mean, period. If you can't, then you have to either close up shop for certain business parts of the agencies of government, which again is bloated at this point. So if you were to shrink it to the funding that it gets, but not by force, then we would see a true free America.
So you would see funding the government sort of like the church collection.
I mean, it's like it's like tithings. It's like saying I'm committing to 5% of next year's growth.
I think I'm getting $10,000 worth of value out of this government. I'll put that in.
Yeah, I mean, it's like walking down the street, and if you don't like the store that you want to walk into, you just walk right by it, which is how I feel about the government right now. I feel like I can walk by them and not even pay attention to them because I don't want them to be in my business.
Right. So, Bill, you mentioned the tax situation. You talked about corporate taxes, and it is tax season, and I think we're putting together a tax day rally. So, taxes are on everybody's mind. What other approaches to tax reform would you recommend?
Okay. Well, let me tell you a little bit about how I developed this. I have a chapter devoted to every major issue, and so there's 20 chapters in the book. Actually, some chapters I cover a couple issues because they're very closely related. But let's talk about this whole issue. First of all, we have to have a balanced budget, and I believe I know how to balance a budget without fail. And I explain that whole process in my book. And what I do is I go through and I give the background of each issue, and then I talk about the various aspects of it and so forth. And I, in a sense, do a business-type root cause analysis of what's the history and what's the background and what led us to this, and then that brings us to the solutions that are not political solutions. In other words, I did not want to write the book for Republicans or Democrats or independents, and I certainly didn't want it to be ideological where it's conservative or libertarian or liberal or moderate and so forth. So what I did is I just looked at what's the best thing for America. And if we can have a balanced budget without a lot of the taxes we have. 100 years ago, we hardly had any taxes at all. In fact, we didn't even have an income tax until about a little over 100 years ago. I believe it was 1913. So if that's the case, why then we had a $2 billion national debt? Why do we now have a $20 trillion national debt? And I'm just talking about, we all know it's going to be $20 trillion in a year or two. And we have all these taxes. We have over 100 different taxes in this country. And all they do is they just stifle business, and they stifle creativity, they stifle growth, and they just make the whole economy stagnant. So what we have to do is we have to balance the budget, and then we have to look at all these taxes individually. For example, the capital gains tax. And everybody I talk to about capital gains, I can win them over with my logic and my root cause analysis. But very briefly, what I'll say is, what should the capital gains tax be? And you'll hear everybody, depending on their ideology, say it should be anywhere from 15 to 50%.
I say zero.
Obama wants it to be 39.4, something like that. My 2020 vision says we should not have a capital gains tax, period, because it's inherently immoral to tax the citizens of a country for investing in their own economy. So just think about that.
Well, that's why
Why
I
would
said zero.
Penalize people for investing in the economy of their country?
Can you? I will repeat it again. I say 0% to any American, and if they are wanting to hand over money to the government agencies so that they can run their business, feel free. It'd be such an easier way. And when you talked about a balanced budget, I mean, to me, if you don't know what your revenue is, and the only way you're going to receive it is by the force of a threat, then there are many people that are disheartened by that process rather than true up of just saying, hey, I'm willing to give you $5 because I think you're worth $5. You're giving me that value. So to me, at that point, you then can work off that. And if you can't live within that, then you can't, then unfortunately you're living outside your means, which is the problem with America. We've way gone past our means of having the faith and credit of the U.S. dollar stay alive. Because, if you look at it, China just came out with paperwork trying to get away from the dollar. What other places there are? I think every place that we're going to war with are Russia,
Brazil, India. The BRIC, that's it. Brazil, Russia, India, and China, the BRIC nations.
Yeah, the BRIC nations.
So, like I said, I learned a lot just listening to Dr. Paul and the books he recommended and listening to the Mises Institute. If you're not familiar with the Mises Institute, Mises.org, MISES. It's a great site for free market thinking, Austrian economic theory. So I've learned a lot, and the idea of the balanced budget to me is if you don't know your revenue being given to you voluntarily, then America's kind of gone astray.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Bill.
Yeah. Yeah, everything you all are saying I think we're on the same page. This is just chapter and verse from my book, and that really makes me feel good because a lot of my ideas and solutions over the years, people would tell me that, oh, that's impossible, you can't do that, or that's a stupid idea, or I could do it better, and so forth. And now I'm even hearing pundits on TV saying the same types of things that I've been saying over the years. And I really do think that I have a clear vision for America, and I really believe I'm the only one that has addressed every issue in the federal government, every major issue. I guess I didn't address the government printing office, which seems to do pretty good, so I ignored that or left that out. But typically, no one has ever talked about how do you take every issue and arrive at a logical, common sense, root cause analysis, cost-benefit analysis solution, and then tie it all together in the one complete package and say, here's what our vision for America should be. And I think, based on what we've been talking about tonight, I think you all kind of get the feeling of where I'm going with a lot of this.
Yes. Mr. Bill, that's your question. With the problems that we have in our society, and if, you look at how people have less faith in government, and we see now the government is getting more corrupt than ever before. And, it's very shameful what's happening right now and the future of America. I don't know where we stand. And, I just saw something in the news today that the Ferguson city manager of the, Justice Department, the Ferguson city manager just resigned in Ferguson. The judge resigned. They had about 2 or 3 officers just resign in the past 3 or 4 days because of what they were doing to citizens in Ferguson, in the city of Ferguson. What do you think about that and how they were just ripping the people off for the,
Okay, I think I can speak on this one fairly well. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I actually lived in Ferguson for 10 years. My brother lived there for 25 years, and our kids went to school there and so forth. The Ferguson you see on TV is not the real Ferguson. That's not the people that we knew and so forth. But what's happened is that entire St. Louis area, because Ferguson is just like one little community or township or whatever you want to call it in St. Louis County, which is all adjoining the city of St. Louis. And what's happened there is for as long as I can remember, there has never been a Republican mayor or city council or anything like that. It's always been 100% Democrat. And I think what's happened there is that the political parties, in this case the Democrat Party, has become so powerful and they've become so self-serving that they feel like they can do anything they want to do. And so they've gotten to that point where all these things are happening, and I'm sure many of them are true, but I don't think they reflect the citizens of the communities and so forth. But then I have to go back and say, we the citizens vote for these people. Why do we vote for them?
Well, it's really we the people.
Yeah.
Just to correct you on that, because again, citizen legally is not defined. So one of the things that I was talking with a young lady last night. She's not young. She's older than me, but she's a nice lady. Barbara Ains out of she's in North Jersey. We had a discussion on the education of the citizens, and they're teaching citizenship classes to challenge the government on and what I see now is a lot of these high schools, whether you're in the inner city or suburbs, we have people don't really understand the government or too afraid to challenge the government because they lack the political or the civic knowledge to challenge the government. Hey, and just before we talk about this, just if you like what you're hearing and you want to join the chat room, Hamilton Radio has a chat room. If you go to hamiltonradio.net, click on HR chat room, click on the OnFire show, you will join us. We'd love you to join the conversation if you like what you hear. If you don't like what you hear, also join us because we want to have different opinions on the show. If you have a question, what's the phone number? Call in 609-800-1003.
Yep.
And please join the chat room, and because these conversations are very intriguing, and we'd love you to join us. So,
okay. So what do you feel about that? The lack of knowledge with the educational system. So you have people that are afraid, or they don't have the civic knowledge to challenge the system.
I agree with you. I think that's the problem, and my research shows that's the problem. And in fact, one of the lengthiest chapters in my book is on education and how we got there, and how to resolve the problem we have. And we have to get government out of education, because really we don't have public schools anymore. What we have is government indoctrination centers. And if you think of it from that point of view, that just answered the question that you asked me about, what are they learning and what are they teaching, and what are our students really getting out of it? Absolutely nothing that's really helpful to the United States of America. Let me tell you a little bit about education, and a lot of people don't get this at all. In fact, I asked people, who was George Washington's Secretary of Education, and they fumble around. They say, gee, I don't know. I don't know if I ever read that one before. Well, that's because we never had one. We never had a Department of Education until 1979 under President Carter. And he combined a few agencies that had something to do with education, and he put them all together. And it was supposed to be an agency of about 3,000 or 4,000 people with a budget of about $5 billion. Some say it should have been $12 billion. If you go to government websites, you won't get any answers at all, because I've lived on them for years, and there's no consistency at all. But what I found out is we used to be number one in education in the world. Now our scores rank in the 20s and almost, I think, 21, 22 in science and reading and mathematics, 29%, I think, in one of those three categories. And I have that all in the book. But in any case, now we're spending $60 billion with 50,000 government employees in the Department of Education, and that's taken us from number 1 to number 30 in the world ranking in education. So how's that working for us? Not
awesome.
very good at all.
Awesome. It's the best thing, and that we should be proud of that. Don't you think, boys?
Well, you know what? If I was running for office running this country,
I'm sorry.
I want dumb
Right
people.
now, as a country, we spend about $600 billion on education, of which almost $300 billion of that is for non-instruction. In other words, we spend only $300 billion for instruction and $300 billion for other things. Now, some of those other things are important. They have to do with construction or infrastructure or, that type of thing. But think about that. We're spending that much money, and we only get so much for instruction, and we had a federal budget for the education department, which really should be eliminated.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of that is the bureaucracy.
There's a lot of agencies that need to be eliminated.
And one of the things is that I was talking about a few weeks ago is that when you look at Trenton, we're in the Trenton area, and we look with Trenton and Newark and Camden and certain other outskirts of those suburban areas. They're coming back with a D+ rating.
Right.
In their school districts.
Right, and you look at this. I mean, you get the worst performance in anything from a monopoly supplier. And we're in the educational system, we've got a double monopoly. First of all, there's the monopoly that you have to go to the public school. Sure, you can go someplace else, but most people can't afford to pay a private school tuition on top of their school taxes. Then secondly, the schools draw from the monopoly of the teachers' union, which they can't be fired. And we just see this out in, Oakland, California, where they're suing to say this is a civil rights violation, that we have these lousy teachers that you cannot fire, and our kids we have to pay for them. And and we can't escape from it. Therefore, it is a civil rights violation. and a liberal court agreed with them. So now the liberal courts are going against the teacher unions. I don't know.
Oh, well, check out what's happening in California. And what is what is that town? San Francisco. They just said that they didn't want the Catholic schools to teach about Catholicism. Isn't that something?
Really?
Yeah, they shouldn't teach it.
But they can teach Islam.
No, yeah. and this is in San Francisco. They didn't want the schools to teach anything about Catholic.
Well, you know,
being a Catholic.
I think
and a good Catholic. You're a good Catholic.
Well, let's just think about this for one thing. Well, San Francisco, which means St. Francis.
Yeah.
I don't think they should call San Francisco St. Francis. I think they should change the name because that's offensive to me. They should offend everybody in San Francisco that they're named after a saint.
So we got 2 minutes before a commercial break, boys.
Yeah, and the strange thing, it's coming out of San Francisco. You know which is what? What kind of town in San Francisco? What are they teaching in San? That's the biggest what?
The biggest what?
Yeah, San.
I left my heart in San Francisco.
No, what was the guy Milk from? What was the movie?
Milk. He was from San Francisco. I don't know if he was originally from San Francisco.
Yeah.
He ended up in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Very big gay community.
Big gay community.
Big gay community.
And it's okay to,
Hey, I'm going to my cousin's wedding down in Florida. They legalized gay marriage. He's been with his partner for, I'd say, longer than I've known. I think since I was a little kid. So, of course, there's a wedding I'm going to April 19th. So
we could talk about if the state has any business in the business of marriage.
No, marriage. There's no business of that in government.
Business like
period.
show business.
But Bill, since we have about a minute to go, do you have any last comments to make?
No, I think we're really all on the same page, and we're talking about the pretty much in alignment of our solutions and so forth, and what our vision for America is. And I guess what I would like to say is that a Greek proverb that I read was a society grows great when old men plant trees that they know they shall never sit in the shade. So if you think about that, 239 years ago, our founding fathers planted some mighty shade trees of Constitution, freedom, liberty, ownership, entrepreneurship, and that's what our country was built on. And about 100 years ago, some corrupt bankers and politicians got together and they started chopping down those trees with the Fed, all the taxes, various things like the income tax amendment, and
Dan Woodrow Wilson.
Exactly. And, senators not being appointed by the states anymore, they took that away, and I go over that in my book pretty carefully. The federal government has gotten too large and has gotten too unwieldy, and therefore it's become too corrupt. And we've got to cut the federal government back down to what it really needs to do and let the states take over and do many of the things they need to do.
All right.
Much of which is redundant.
Yes, sir. Oh, Bill, one question. Where can we get your book from at?
Okay. Oh, I'm glad you asked. We have a website that we put up, and it's www.2020americabook.com.
All right.
In other words, it's 2020americabook.com. And we also are on Facebook, and actually you can Google Bill Muckler, Muckler, or you can go to like Amazon.com. We have an author's page and a book page on there. So if you just go to Amazon.com and type in Bill Muckler, it's somehow by magic, and I can't believe it still myself, but the book and me comes right up there.
All right. Well, we thank you for coming on the show. It's been exciting, and we definitely want to have you back again.
Oh, I'd be delighted. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, Bill. Take care. This is
okay. Good night.
Good night. This is the OnFire show. We'll be right back. My heart in San Francisco. Catholicism. Why do you not teach Catholicism at a Catholic school?
I don't know. It's your school. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, you know what I mean? How do you not teach it? Let me look that up because there's always on the internet.
It's on the internet. It's got to be true.
Yeah, it's on the internet. San Francisco, the man, Catholic Church doctrine, Catholic doctrine. I mean, come on. It doesn't make, why would you go there to the school when people are doing it? Yeah, but still. Damn, Joe. Well, you're going to be glad because I was get some beans in. Smelling the whole. Hey, back with OnFire show. That was Mr. Bill Muckler, and you go buy his book.
Go buy his book. It's
yeah.
great that the country's full of like patriots like this. People are stepping up and voicing, stepping out of their character, writing books, doing radio shows, everything else.
We should try to get a link to his book into the website.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
Definitely.
And of course, did we get the link to the coffee cup fixed?
Go back on it.
It will work.
It will work.
Steve from Virginia, of course, is listening. Steve, check it out. Let us know. And of course, the chat room is happening tonight. We have a bunch of people talking about. Of course, there was discussion on taxes, and they said once the American people had the employers take the taxes out for the employee, it kind of dumbed down the system so that it made it easier for the thieves to get their money.
And it's exactly, who came up with that idea?
Who did?
I don't remember the man's name, but he was the chairman of the Macy's department store. And he went back and told, I think it was Roosevelt at the time, it was either Roosevelt or Hoover, and said, here's the way you do it. Because when you do payments over time, people don't notice they're paying as much, Instead of buying that suit for $100, you buy it for $10, a month, or forever. And and he's like, so he says, do the withholding. The people won't notice how much is coming out of their paycheck over the time. So it came from the Macy's, who had the idea, from layaway and credit purchases.
Oh, wow.
And then the funny part is, I think they do it so that most of the money will come out now from your paycheck. Social Security is going to come out until you max it out. Medicare continues on forever. Income tax, I mean, you could do it so that you get more at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So over time, that you'll see in, let's say, July, your paycheck goes up, and you're like, oh, I'm making more money now. But in reality, it's just the government's taking a little bit less, but still, they're in your pockets, taking your money.
They take your money all year long. They take more than they agreed, the law allowed, and then they give you it back, and then you jump up and down like, oh, I got money from the government.
It was your money.
Basically, stealing
your money
all year long.
I want my money back. We want everybody to know, let everybody know that you can please leave a comment or a response about our show on the listener response page. That's on HamiltonRadio.net. You know, one of the things I talked about earlier is San Francisco demands Catholic Church stop teaching Catholic doctrine. Wow. Oh, wow. The Archdiocese of San Francisco is under fire demanding that the Catholic schools teach Catholic doctrine. It seems like the Board of Supervisors are upset with the moral clause, including languages against homosexuality, same-sex marriage, and other things. They passed a resolution to rebuke the Catholic Church, demanding that the Archbishop ignore Catholic doctrine and respect the rights of teachers and students. Now, my thing is this. If you go to Catholic schools, I went to a Catholic school, we had to pay. It's not a public school.
You got to pay.
You have to pay. So if you're a Catholic and you're sending your child, you expect to get taught Catholic doctrine.
Or even if you're not a Catholic and you pay to go to the school.
But that's a choice.
It's a choice.
You know, you don't have to go. It's not like it's a public school.
Right.
You pay to go because you're going to get probably a great education and a Catholic doctrine.
You're going to get some discipline.
Is that
you're not going to? Yeah, you're paying to go there. They have no.
And you might get beat by a nun.
You might get beat by a nun. That's a whole different thing.
I think my wife was.
I was choked.
My wife went to Catholic school growing up.
Right.
She's a true Catholic girl who grew up going to Catholic school. She lived in Louisiana, went to Catholic school there.
Wow.
Went out to California, went to Catholic school there, then went to Red Bank Catholic here.
Mm-hmm.
So
I was choked. And I got suspended out of 2 Catholic schools, and my mom said, I can't send him.
But think about this.
Okay, let's talk about
this. We had a guest a few weeks ago, Israel Teitelbaum, right?
Yeah.
He was sending his kids to yeshiva school. I mean, he's going to be taught
vouchers, right? He talked about the voucher
system. But he's
system.
going to be taught the same thing. Now, here's an interesting thing about that, vouchers. And think about this now. You want to pay money and send your kids to any kind of school you want to send them to, and that should be the thing. Here's where it comes in, I think, with vouchers. Once vouchers get into the system, right? Mm-hmm. Now the government is paying, technically, because they're not really paying for anything, because they're taking your money and giving it to you. But now they're going to give it to your money, and they're going to say, okay, you can send them to any school of your choice. But now we have a chance of dictating what the curricula should be. So I was always a big fan of vouchers because I thought, well, it was one step away from having the monopoly schools. But on the other hand, if you're getting a check from the government to spend, they're going to start putting conditions on what you can teach in those schools.
But if you want to do it right with the voucher system, I mean, literally the vouchers given from parent to the school,
right?
And then at that point, the transaction gets set up between the owner. The contract begins. It's basically the buyer and the seller. So there will be government out of the way if the voucher was coming from an individual handing it over, and then the payment goes.
What I'm saying is that
transaction.
the government can say to the Catholic schools in San Francisco, you can't teach Catholic doctrine anymore because we're paying for it.
Yeah, but this is not happening in San Francisco. It's not happening in San Francisco with the Catholic diocese.
Can we check the levels?
And they're talking about the problem with the moral clause. They're against homosexuality, same-sex marriage, and contraceptives.
Well, why can't – I mean, you take it one step further. Why can't you just send the San Francisco police into every church on Sunday and then drag people out? We did this in Nazi Germany. It seemed to work.
And so, you know, San Francisco is probably one of the most happiest.
It is. They're more than happy.
More than happy. Happiest city, and is one of the happiest cities in California. And I'm sure that when there was a problem.
But this is distressing them. This is lowering their level of happiness.
Yeah. And it's.
Yes. So, you know, we see this now that there is this thing, you know, that nobody can be offended by anything except there's a few groups that can be offended. I happen to be among those people who are allowed to be offended. But we have to make sure that nobody can teach a doctrine that goes against the official sanctified trinity of gay marriage, what have you. That's all it's all about.
And they could be comparing this as a doctrine of hatred.
Well, doctrine of hatred.
The chat room is buzzing, of course. So if there was a comment about Obama kids don't even go to the public school system.
Yeah,
so,
true.
And if you're listening to us and you want to join the conversation, just go to HamiltonRadio.net, click on HR chat room. You could join as a guest. We'd love you to join with registering. So if you click on log in or register, Ruben here will approve you, and you can come in with your name showing.
Yes, give us a call or go in the chat room and talk about this. This is a good discussion.
Progressive hypocrisy. Again, you're talking about Obama doesn't send his kids to public school, neither do any of these other people in Washington. But we were talking about corporate income taxes before. Warren Buffett is a guy who's been saying there should be more corporate income taxes. He says, it's a shame that I pay less income taxes because my income is capital gain than my secretary. On the other hand, because he's saying they should be paying more, he's behind, the move that went down last year where Burger King got bought by Tim Hortons, a Canadian company. Yeah. They moved offshore. They inverted the company so they would pay less taxes. He's been battling the government over $10 billion worth of taxes, for a long time. And, we think, I know Neil thinks that's a noble cause to try to pay less taxes. But the man is a hypocrite because he's saying that we should be paying more taxes. On the other hand, he fights not to pay taxes because he has businesses that benefit from the government, and they take money out of the government. So both of these, they talk out of both sides of their mouth. They give you this populist, they run this populist jive by, and then they steal out of your, the other hand in your pocket while they're talking. Mm-hmm. And Warren Buffett's no better than him. He's looked on as a great capitalist, but he's not. He's a thief. He's a crony capitalist, and he's a crook. I hope he isn't investing in this station, Gene, but that's...
See, you might... see, you're going... you're going deep. You're going very deep, Joe. Next thing you know, a guy coming up to you saying, can I get a lift, a jump? Yeah. And you come to my car right quick, I need a jump.
Well, guest 38079 says if you want less of something, tax it more.
Tax it more.
If you want more of something... tax it less.
And one of the things I was talking before the guest came on is I want to, explain about where I was talking about where, you have the African American community who cries racism on the police force, but then you have the Tea Party, you have the African American community talking about racism and corruption in the police department and government is corrupt. But then you have the Tea Party who's talking about the IRS, less government. Where the government is tyranny, and you kind of see that both are kind of like could talk basically about the same thing. Both the Tea Party people, the Libertarian people, or especially the Ron Paul people. Government is out of control, and you have a police department and a city and mainly city and state government that are locking up more people than ever before. We got over close to 2 million people locked up. A lot of those are inner city. You could say government is out of control. And the Tea Party would say the same thing, what the IRS has did, even though the IRS is not a part of government, but it's still some government factions.
I could get that sense of it's out of control.
Yeah.
But as a CPA, it's the lack of control that has been lost. Because from an accounting perspective, you need to put controls in place against the business to do bad things. And that's internally structured. So that's where you get into segregation of duties for responsibilities so that not two people can collude with each other. Mm-hmm. And I think government has broken those controls, and it just needs to go back to those controls. And then, of course, just would limit their role. And from there, it's getting back to freedom and liberty. And government does have a role, limited in its nature, but I do think it's we talk about it as an out-of-control issue versus that just the lack of controls have been broken.
One of the things I was watching a documentary, I like to check out these different documentaries about the IRS, and it bothered me how IRS was so out of control when they went after Joe Lewis.
Well,
Joe Lewis.
Yeah.
They went after Joe Lewis and stripped him of everything.
And who was the actor in California just now that had a lien against him? For
Wesley Snipes?
No.
Well, he went to jail.
This was not. Who was Scarface?
Scarface, Al Pacino?
Al Pacino?
Was it Pacino? Who's the other guy? That's like a Pacino type of actor.
De Niro?
De Niro. Robert De Niro just had a lien against him for like $6.3 million.
Good for him.
So, and
another
it was
Democrat.
a mistake from the IRS sending it to the wrong address. So, but
wow.
It's just interesting out there. Like, IRS still has not released the Tea Party papers.
No.
Lois Lerner. Again, I'd love to see the emails that are going on with her. I mean, I'd like to see emails that are going around about me right now with the IRS because I fight pretty hard. I mean, I believe you have the right to defend yourself.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you know, one of the things is that we see what's happening, and like I said, look at what's happening with the Tea Party and how they feel about government and out of control government, and we want limited government, and look what's happening in the inner city areas and Ferguson, what the city government has did to Ferguson, what city governments are doing to a lot of people in these cities, and all over America, and overtaxing the people.
Well, they've been told that all this government is going to set them free.
Set them free.
And I wrote a blog back, I don't know, a couple months ago, but there was this woman, Missouri State Senator Maria Chappelle Nadal. She's an African American, and she called out. This is what Bill Muckler was saying. Is that area has been so Democratic dominated. We say, oh, these are the people that are the party of the people. But they're basically, like, both parties are the party of power. And because they have a hold on everything, they basically do what they want to do. She called it out on racism. I just think I don't know if they're racist. I just think they're arrogant. They get away with whatever they can get away with.
It's a thugocracy.
Yeah. She goes,
and just so you know, we have Patrick McKnight calling in about 2 minutes. Patrick McKnight is the chairman of the New Jersey Libertarian Party, who is a sponsor of this show, which we thank, of course. So we're looking forward to having Patrick McKnight. So, of course, stay tuned to hear him in about 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, the chat room is buzzing. We have people actually want to welcome a new listener, Kyle from Arizona.
Hello, Kyle.
He is a chicken man.
A chicken man?
Yes, the Fred the chicken man has been
getting
our show around.
Send us some eggs.
The chicken community is a very big libertarian community, from what I understood. And eggs, we'll get you eggs. I'll bring you eggs. And Fred's got about 150 chickens in his garage.
I want some chickens, but the chickens, Jay can't have chickens in your house.
And we still haven't gotten approval to show how to
slice the chicken.
Take apart a chicken.
Maybe
Fred,
you'll do that on tax day. We got to talk about tax day rally September.
Right.
What is it? April 15th.
Of course, April 15th.
April 15th is tax day, and we're going to have also Brian is going to be speaking.
Who is?
McKnight.
Patrick
McKnight.
Brian McKnight from.
I was going to say Brian McKnight.
Was from the
the singer.
Boys to Men.
No, Brian McKnight.
He was with
One Last Cry. No. He wasn't with them. He was his own singer. He's his own a single. Yeah. Brian,
really?
Yeah. Brian
I thought
McKnight.
he sung with a Christian band before.
His brothers.
Oh.
That wasn't Boys to Men.
All right. Well, we got.
We got a caller in. Hey, Patrick McKnight.
How's it going?
Hey, doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good. We're glad you're on the show. This is the OnFire show. We're here with Patrick McKnight.
In the house, baby.
And he's the chairman of the Libertarian Party. And how you doing? We got your treasurer over here.
How's it going, Patrick?
How's it going?
Good. So, what's new? What do you got to tell us about tonight?
The convention, right?
Yes.
Well, the big thing that we're looking forward to is our annual convention coming up on March 21st at Tavern on the Lake in Hightstown, New Jersey. And registration is open for that now. It's going to be the Liberty event of the year here in New Jersey. And we're looking forward to have everybody who loves liberty to come out. We have a great set of speakers lined up for the afternoon. We have a total of 6 speakers.
Anyone to highlight?
And they're going to be discussing a range of topics. We have Dr. Jerome Hewler from Seton Hall. We have a gentleman from Muslims for Liberty named Hisham El-Melagi. We have James Kalita, who was famously thrown out of the New Jersey State House for defending the Second Amendment. We have Derek J. Freeman, who is the star of the film Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. We have Michael Chazukau, who is representing NJ Normal, and we have James Babb, who's a very respected jury rights activist. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope people come out to support us.
And, of course, Patrick, I think we've discussed it. If any of those guys want to come on to the show, please let us know so that we can schedule them.
Okay, great.
And, of course, we were going to have you on last week to talk about some of the legislative matters that are you guys are focusing on.
Right, I know you're in it. You've joined an alliance with the party in terms of changing the marijuana laws in the state. Can you talk about that a little bit?
How's that coming along?
Sure, yeah, that's going to be a big push this year. There's a coalition of organizations called New Jersey United for Marijuana Reform that are trying to get a bill on Christie's desk for him to either sign or not sign to legalize marijuana and tax it basically like wine. And although as a libertarian that's not our ideal situation, our ideal situation would be to fully decriminalize it and not to tax it. It's still a giant step in the right direction, and we're proud to be the only political party. As hard as it is to believe, in 2015 we're the only political party that supports that, even though the majority of people support it. And our party has been saying this since we were founded in 1971, that prohibition never works. It didn't work in the Great Depression. It doesn't work now. And so that's going to be very exciting. And the other thing that we're working on is related to that. We're working on a ballot initiative in the city of New Brunswick to try to make marijuana enforcement the lowest priority for New Brunswick police. So, there's a lot of momentum behind this issue right now between Colorado and Washington and Alaska, and also I think Philadelphia, just right across the river, decriminalized small, simple possession. So I think that the time is right to make a push on
and
this.
Washington too, Washington D.C.
Rand Paul and Cory Booker and I think one other senator just proposed a bill to decriminalize marijuana at the federal level.
Yeah.
So to legalize marijuana at the federal level.
Yeah, because they just legalized a certain amount you can have on you in Washington D.C.
I mean, would it become an amendment to the Constitution that legalizes it?
Well, that's no. You don't need an amendment to the Constitution to legalize it. We have a federal Controlled Substances Act, in which that is a part of it. Now that should takes place either in stripping it across state lines, or in pretty much they can use almost any rationale to touch something even in state if it doesn't go into interstate commerce. But that's what most of these drugs are made illegal under. Patrick, is there any bill right now in either the New Jersey legislative bodies about addressing marijuana reform, and if so, who's sponsoring it?
Yes, there was a bill introduced, I believe, last year, and it's basically been tabled. It hasn't come up for a vote. It's being sponsored by a Democrat, although I'm probably going to mangle his name, but it's something like Scudari, who's a Democrat sponsoring this. And we're trying to create a groundswell at the grassroots level to let our legislators know that we support this and we want this. I think from what I understand, there's a lot of people in the State House who do support this, but they're just sort of still afraid of the politics of coming out in public and supporting it. So, we need to let our legislators know that we support this and we want this, and we're tired of wasting over $100 million a year enforcing these archaic laws when our state is already $100 billion in debt. It makes absolutely no sense, and it's a waste of resources, and it's also completely unjust. And in New Jersey, if you're African American, you are 3 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana than if you're not a minority, even though the usage rates are pretty much the same. So there's a lot of different angles of looking at this issue, and either way you look at it, the law is out of step with where society is at today, and it's out of step with living in a free and just world. So, we're proud to be leaders on this issue, and we've been leaders on this issue since 1971. And like so many other issues, people are coming around to the libertarian point of view, and we've stood on our principles for 40 years, and people are starting to realize that we're right, and it's common sense, really, and it's a very exciting time.
Well, just to jump in here, Patrick, people are definitely signing up on the chat room. So if you have signed up, you are registered. You are registered, so you can sign in and join the chat room. Of course, we got Patrick McKnight, the chairman of the Libertarian Party of New Jersey, on the call right now.
Hey, Patrick. I'm very excited about you coming to Tax Day Rally April 15th and speaking. And, it's very exciting. One of the things I had talked, I don't know if you know Bill and Barbara Ains. Have you heard of them?
Yes, but I'm not very familiar.
Well, Bill and Barbara Ains are supporting the Constitution for self-governance. And they're speaking, they're definitely against Common Core, and they're coming on that day also to speak at the Tax Day rally. But I talked to them about you coming down to the library, Libertarian Party, and Barbara Ains and Bill, and talking about education system and the corruption and the bureaucracy that's happening in our educational system, and especially in the city of Trenton, where the school board, the whole system is rated D+. And it's one of the things that we're talking about is that if you see what's happening in Trenton, Camden, and Newark, you have the highest dropout rate in your fifth grade. If you're graduating from Trenton High, most chances likely you're not going to go into a powerful four-year college. You're going to go right to Mercer County College. And these are out of democratic areas where these students are graduating from, and not, the proficiency rate it's so low of graduating, and it's terrible. What are these kids going to do? Me and Ruben was outside, and we were in Trenton today, and we were like, these kids don't have a chance because they're getting bad education from a bad administration.
Well, it definitely is sad to see that.
It's sad.
Right.
And it's like, they're getting all the tax dollars, but something isn't right. Something just is not working, and you're looking at the administration and the failure of administration, failure of the Democratic Party for over 30 years now.
Yeah, well, hey, Patrick, I know that the party is actually trying to get candidates to run. So, can you touch on that just so that people are aware of getting involved, running for local office?
Yeah, definitely. We're recruiting. We're always recruiting people to run, and our mantra basically is we're not career politicians. We're an all volunteer organization, and that's part of the reason why we have no corruption in our organization. We're the third largest and fastest growing party, and the best way to spread the message to other people is to run for office, because we're excluded from the corporate media, of course, because we don't represent their interests. So running for office is a great opportunity. It can be a lot of fun. It can be a lot of work, but it's also very rewarding. And, usually people are surprised how much support there is for the libertarian message, because after all, there's a reason why so many people are leaving our state. Clearly they're dissatisfied. And if you ask them, they'll tell you it's because property taxes are so high, and neither major party, is doing anything about it. and it's because there's so much overregulation. Trying to start a business in the state is almost impossible. So in a way, it's kind of a surprisingly easy sell once you explain to people what we actually stand for. So anyone who's interested in running for office should send me an email. My email address is chair, CHAIR, @NJLP.org, and I'll be happy to speak with you. And we're here to support our candidates in any way we can, and we already have a number of people who are committed to running, and I'm hoping to recruit a lot more.
Neil, how about Neil?
How about me?
Yeah, why don't you run for office? Libertarian.
I'm trying to do it through the legal court system.
Neil, you should. I ran as a libertarian. I got 1,000 votes.
I mean,
Neil's on the school board. He is
an
elected official.
I am on the school board right now.
Yeah.
But again, like right now, I'm trying to fight it through the legal system and just kind of understand my rights as a sovereign man, so that I can protect myself at all times against any government agency. Mm-hmm. The process I'm using is by a guy named Clyde Hyde, who unfortunately is no longer with us on Earth. He's got a document that you can read on Scribe called the Default Course. It's just an introduction to a law theory on the rights of the people being higher than government agencies' rules and regulations. And then he has a whole lesson plan that you go through that he kind of sat in his back room and wrote up documents. So I'm kind of using them as the test into the legal system. And if it works, then guess what? Government really doesn't have much say in your lives anymore. But you just got to learn how to defend yourself. Mm-hmm. Do I want to run for office? Look, if it's the funny part is voting for none of the above sometimes is a better option than getting someone in office and then that person's opinion matters more than your own opinion. I mean, I believe in freedom, and I believe everyone's ideas are has some legs to it, and it just has to be worked through. The idea of in a free market, you would test it, and if there's not enough interest, then that idea doesn't stand the test of time for that moment. So
now Patrick, you ran for what? You ran for state assembly and Congress, right? I believe.
Correct.
Oh, okay. And how long have you been chairman of the Libertarian Party?
I've been chair for a year now. I became chair at the last convention in March of 2014.
Oh, okay. And what are the challenges of being chair of the Libertarian Party?
Well, it's one of those things that it's being a leader of an organization. Like being a chair, I don't really have any direct power. I mean, I don't even. A lot of my responsibilities are administrative, and for example, at a board meeting, I don't even have the authority to introduce a motion. But I think the important role of a chair is sort of just you have to be a good speaker, you have to spread the message, but you also need to be a good listener. Listen to what people inside the party are concerned about, listen to what people outside the party are concerned about, and just basically, working with people. Libertarians are very, very principled people, and sometimes that can be counterproductive. So what I try to do is the same thing I did when I ran for office, which is to, build on areas of agreement, build on consensus, and then to be productive and positive working in those areas instead of dwelling on areas of disagreement, which is usually totally counterproductive.
Oh, okay.
So, I really enjoyed being chair so far. I hope to be chair in the foreseeable future.
I will be chair when I run for governor. Can I run for? Yeah.
I mean, look, being governor, the role. My feeling, the role of governor is that they just protects the states the federal infringing on the state and saying, get off my land, go back to your land, and you can't.
I want to be
you
governor.
come after the people of our state.
Yeah, I want to be governor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I give myself a pardon? Yeah, if I was governor, I resign and just leave.
Well, I've talked to Patrick many times in private conversations. I mean, Patrick, I got to say, is such a nice guy. He came to my office years ago when the Ron Paul campaign was going. This was before he was chairman. I think this was when he was just getting involved, from my understanding. I don't know, Pat. Can you give the listeners a little history of your path to the chairmanship of the Libertarian Party?
My past.
Yeah,
I got re-engaged. I mean, I initially got engaged in politics when I was in high school, and I was very involved in the anti-war movement. And at that time, in the mainstream media, if you were anti-war, that meant you were a Democrat or you were a liberal. And, pretty soon when I was in college, I realized that Democrats love war and tyranny just as much as the Republicans do. And so I became totally disenfranchised with the Democratic Party. And then my first job after college was teaching high school social studies in Camden and living in Camden. And that experience taught me a lot about the unintended consequences of a welfare state and the educational system and basically government intervention in the free market. And that's when I think it really crystallized to me that I was a libertarian. And I ran for office almost by accident. It was just after the NDAA indefinite detention bill was passed. This was January 2012 when I went to a town hall meeting with my Congressman Leonard Lance, and he was there telling everyone what a strong supporter of the Constitution he was, and the Constitution is something I'm very passionate about. It is something that I taught to my students as being very important. And when I heard him say that, I just couldn't believe it, and I asked him point blank, if you're a strong supporter of the Constitution and you voted for indefinite detention of American citizens, well, what does a weak supporter of the Constitution look like? And he had absolutely no answer. I mean, it was embarrassing, and it was caught on film, and then it went on the internet, and it got thousands of views, and that's sort of how I first got involved. It was almost by accident, but the reoccurring theme from that day and from my two campaigns and my time as chair is that I continue to be surprised when, you just take a stand for what you believe in, what you believe to be right, and you state your case in a cogent, respectable manner. People will respect you and gravitate to you and want to support you. We're bludgeoned by the media that individuals don't matter, that one person can't do anything. And I think just the opposite is true. I think there's a unlimited potential for every individual. And I think if more people just, everyone, I believe most Americans are disenfranchised with politics for more or less the same reason: the corruption, tyranny, the lack of accountability. And if more people just stood up for those beliefs instead of giving into apathy or nihilism, we could turn this country around in a pretty surprisingly short amount of time. And so our job is basically
that's not going to happen.
People.
Don't say never.
What?
He could be right. It could turn around pretty quick if
what?
If people just
an asteroid hit America,
no,
it'll turn around pretty quick.
From a perspective
if
of
an
elections,
asteroid hit the Atlantic Ocean and a big wave just washed.
Wow.
It just takes
a big tsunami.
When did you become Mr. Cranky all of a sudden?
Yeah. What's going on with you, Daryl? Right there.
If an asteroid comes and hit the Atlantic and a big like a wave of stuff just
rolled over us, then that's how it would
washed us out. Then we could turn around.
No, actually, hey, Pat, we have a question from the chat room, and of course, if you're listening to the show and you like what you're hearing, you could join the chat room at hamiltonradio.net. Click on HR Chat Room. If you want to register, you can register. Ruben will approve you, and you can come in with your name. Of course, we do have a new guest listening in from New Jersey, Todd. Welcome to the show. And, of course, the question that was asked by guest 64218 is, are there any libertarians that are elected to local offices in New Jersey?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Are there any libertarians elected or to local offices at this time that you know of?
There's no libertarians elected to local office in New Jersey. We've had people elected in the past, certainly, and my advice to people, if you do want to run for office, is to focus on local offices because they're the funding deficit that we have compared to these parties that are funded by basically the whole financial system, whereas we're funded by our members, is less egregious. There are elected libertarians across the country in other states, and I know that nationwide in the last election, 2014 election cycle, we won over 12.5 million votes across the country, which is a record for a third party in a off-year election. So, we continue to break records in terms of our growth and in terms of our vote totals. But, I'm hoping that this year will be the year that we win some offices here in New Jersey. Like I said, we have won offices in the past. But, the thing about our party is we really are grassroots, and there's good with that and there's bad with that. The good thing is that we're all volunteers and there's no corruption, and we're all here because we're passionate about fixing the problems with our state. But the bad thing is that we don't have unlimited funds. Like these other parties basically have unlimited amounts of money that we simply don't have. But the flip side of that is that we don't need as much money because we have a quality message, whereas their brands are completely tarnished by corruption, and they don't have any ideas. Their ideas are what got us here in the first place. So, for example, when I ran for office for Congress, I was outspent, by $1 million, but the silver lining is that if you look at the dollars per vote, I only had to spend $1 per vote, and my, four-term incumbent opponent had to spend $4 per vote.
How many votes did you get?
So, it's fundraising is definitely something we need to work on, but we're growing very fast right now. And in New Jersey, we grew our registered voters by over 8% last year, while the Republicans lost over 1% and the Democrats lost over 1.6%.
Yeah. Hey, Patrick, when you ran for Congress, how many votes did you get?
I forget the exact number. It was over 4,000.
Okay. That's pretty awesome.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
We're going to go to commercial break in 2 minutes, Patrick, just so you know.
Okay.
Hey, Patrick, I got an idea. Maybe we send Christie to the moon and just drop them right off into the Atlantic Ocean, and get a big wave.
Hey,
get a balloon. Maybe drop them out of a plane.
Patrick, another question. Another question from the chat room is, what libertarians have garnered the most votes statewide historically? Do we have a history on that or no?
Yeah, I know.
I would guess that it was our friend Mary Sabrin.
Mary Sabrin, 100,000.
Yes, it was definitely Murray Sabrin.
And speaking of Murray, just to give a little shout out to him, he's doing a statewide tour to discuss the economy. I mean, he's a finance professor at Ramapo College. Very nice guy. I mean, very knowledgeable on the economic theories. So he's giving a speech at the Cranberry Inn this Thursday. I'm not sure the exact time it starts. That's in Cranberry, New Jersey. It's $20 to listen to him speak.
Where's Cranberry?
That is close to Jamesburg.
Next to Hightstown.
Hightstown.
North of Hightstown.
All right. Cranberry.
Yeah. So Maurice Abram will be speaking. Of course, go and listen. I think he gives a great speech every time, and he's going to give a determination of when the stock market's going to crash again.
Okay, yes. The
So
Cranberry Inn is just a quick 2-mile drive from the Tavern on the Lake, where the New Jersey Libertarian Party will be having its convention on the 21st of this month.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we're going to go to commercial break, right?
Yeah, we're going to go to a commercial break. This is the OnFire show. We got what, 10 seconds on the Fire show. And we'll be right back with the chairman of the Libertarian Party, Patrick McKnight. All right.
Pat,
Who's the most popular Libertarian in New Jersey?
thanks for calling in, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Provide for my future. He broke every promise he made.
Millions of Americans afflicted.
I was ready to leave, but he told me he'd change. So I gave him another chance. I was such a fool.
The consequences.
Things only got worse. He started making my decisions for me. About my job, my kids' education, my money, my safety, my future. He took away my choices, but I kept going back to the same politicians.
The diagnosis? Battered voter syndrome.
I fell for the same old lies. They were just playing with my emotions, telling me what I wanted to hear. That's not right. Then I realized that I have the power, and there is an alternative.
Stop the cycle of political abuse. Vote Libertarian. Find out more at lp.org.
I ran for the United States Senate the first time. And we were at the end of New Jersey.
Nothing could be finer than to sell more cotton and peanuts to international markets like Cuba. The Cubans can't buy your products because our politicians won't let them sell their sugar here. In fact, Americans pay 5 times the world price on sugar. If you think that protective tariffs make no sense, then you just might be a libertarian. To find out, call 1-800-ELECT-US and ask for a free information packet. The information's free. Your freedom is priceless.
NJLP.org is a libertarian party that's for liberty and freedom. To learn more about the New Jersey Libertarian Party and join the fight for liberty, please visit NJLP.org. At NJLP.org website, you can get updated news on what NJLP.org is doing, check for upcoming events near you, and learn how you can help NJLP.org. And again, that's NJLP.org. This ad is paid for by the New Jersey Libertarian Party, the party of principle.
Can you imagine living in a country where the children are taught to snitch on their parents, or bank clerks are instructed to report customer behavior to government authorities? Well, that is what is happening in America today. If you're concerned about what the future will bring, then you just might be a libertarian. To find out, call 1-800-ELECT-US and ask for a free information packet. That's 1-800-ELECT-US. The information is free. Your freedom is priceless.
NJLP.org is a libertarian party that's for liberty and freedom. To learn more about the New Jersey Libertarian Party and join the fight for liberty, please visit NJLP.org. At NJLP.org website, you can get updated news on what NJLP.org is doing, check for upcoming events near you, and learn how you can help NJLP.org. And again, that's NJLP.org. This ad is paid for by the New Jersey Libertarian Party, the party of principle.
Hi, you're back with the OnFire show. I'm your host, Darryl McKell Brooks, with
Joe Ciano
and Neil Schloss.
And we have Patrick McKnight, chairman of the Libertarian Party. And Patrick, you had a number for Murray Sabrin.
Yeah, to answer the question from the listener, in the 1997 gubernatorial election, Libertarian Murray Sabrin won over 114,000 votes. The exact number is 114,172, which is about 5% of the vote total. Mm-hmm. And that was definitely much larger than the margin of victory.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was a huge moment for our party. I mean, you could very easily say he made a difference in the election. Mm-hmm. And that, you know, and we had recently down in Virginia, we had Robert Sarvis polling at around 10% for governor 2 years ago, and he polled very high last year for Senate. Mm-hmm. So I mean, we're consistently breaking out of the lower digits, and you know, it sounds like a small number, but if we keep up this growth rate in 10 years, I mean, we're really going to be a powerhouse. And as people continue to be disillusioned with what's going on in the state and this country, I mean, why would you keep voting for the two parties that got us here? I mean, it makes no sense. So,
Patrick, I remember that.
Who was running for governor, Joe?
Then Christy Todd Whitman and McGreevey. And I remember that election because that's when I first started becoming involved with the movement, and the party. And at that point, Murray, throughout the campaign, Murray had been tracking at over 10%, and he had been getting support from some of the media and all that. At the last second, the right-wing media pulled the rug out from under him and said, geez, if this guy actually gets his 10%, it may put McGreevey into office. So they pulled, and that's where, you know, at the end his vote total tanked. But his support, you know, he had gotten matching funds from the state, took place in part in all the debates, mm-hmm. and he made a great showing. But you know, the other thing about it, Patrick, I think about this thing is that, you know, I think the wars that we created in the beginning of this decade, you know, sort of moved people for a while away from the liberty movement. They saw us being, you know, threatened by, you know, radical Islam. So we went, you know, there was a groundswell after 9/11 of support for the wars, and then we saw how futile they are. So we moved away from the right and we moved away from the Republicans. Then there was this big move towards Obama and his, you know, his very progressive agenda, and we see that that's tanking for us too. So in the last, you know, in the last decade or so, you know, 12 to 15 years, we've gone from one extreme to the other, and we've seen no real difference between those parties, and things are getting worse. So I think, you know, it's now time for, you know, an alternative, a small government, a very limited government alternative, and a freedom message to get through.
Yeah, but I also think the Democratic and Republican parties are following the economic theory of Keynesian philosophy, which over time has shown that it fails. And when it fails big because there's a bust. And sure, there's a turnaround where you have a boom cycle. And I mean, if you're not familiar with that, I mean, that's Keynesian philosophy, booms and busts. Mm-hmm. And the philosophy of a true free society would be free market theory.
Yeah, and I would even say, I would say that they used those Keynesian theories as a rationalization. Because I think basically they follow a philosophy of lining their own pockets. And so they print money and they tax and they put it in their own pockets, and they use and they give it to their their cronies, and that and they use a theory to justify theft.
Yeah, and we know that the Obama is controlled basically by Wall Street. Washington is controlled by Wall Street. And, you know, if you're running for Congress, you need that Wall Street money. You're running for United States Senate and President, you want that Wall Street money. And when you look at when Obama won both elections, I mean, the first election, he got more money from Wall Street than any president in history.
Well, that's a big thing you said. Yeah. And I'm going to ask Patrick this, because there's a big difference between being pro-business and being pro-market. I don't know if you want to say anything about that, Patrick. Is he still there?
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think there's a number of misconceptions about what it means to be a libertarian. You look at the bailouts. I mean, the bailouts were something that I think angered all Americans who were paying attention. But bailouts aren't part of the free market. That's part of that's government intervention in the free market. So libertarians, for example, are strongly opposed to bailouts. And we think that big businesses should play by the same rules as little businesses do, which today is not the case at all. And, the role of regulation is often to limit competition and to limit startups, and we strongly oppose those things. And the other point I'd like to make, there's a common misconception that our party is somehow a branch of the Republican Party or that we only draw votes from Republicans, and that's completely untrue. Every single poll, every single study that's been conducted shows that we pull as many votes from disenfranchised Democrats as we do disenfranchised Republicans, as well as tapping into independent voters. There's more independent voters than ever, and we appeal to them. So, there's a lot of misconceptions out there about our party, because we're not given a venue to refute them in the media. That's part of the fun of being a libertarian. Once people find out what a libertarian actually is, 9 out of 10 people will agree with you on most issues.
Oh, definitely. And, one of the things is that the perception of the Libertarian Party, people actually think that all libertarians are backwoods and we're in the shack, and it's we're way out in the woods. We're far from society.
But
and that's the perception.
But I also got to say, being a CPA, being on the Board of Ed, people come up to me, and most people have that libertarian thought process, but they just cover themselves under the D or the R. And like I said, Pat, I give you definitely a lot of praise for how you're taking on the Libertarian Party and trying to get people involved in the party. I'm looking forward to, March 21st?
March 21st.
Yeah, I'm going to try to stop on over because my office is right down the street from where the party is going to happen.
Tavern on the Lake.
Tavern on the Lake. So, what time? Your speakers come on at what time?
The speakers are going to come on in the afternoon, so if you want to show up around 12, the speakers will be starting. Well, the speakers actually start a little after 1. So I would get there around 12:30 to leave yourself a little bit of time. And if anyone wants to contact me directly, my email is chair@njlp.org. That's chair@njlp.org. And if you want more information about the party, visit njlp.org. We definitely need people to join us. That's where we get most of our funding from, is from our members. We don't get any contributions from big corporations or banks or anything like that, because we don't represent their interests. We represent the interest of the individual. And we also are featuring a free membership for students. Every poll shows that libertarianism is spreading like wildfire amongst young people, and that's another one of the very bright signs that we have to look forward to in the future. And we need people to step up and be leaders. It's easy to complain sitting on the sidelines, but that's not going to get anything done. We need people to join our party, join our movement, and take a stand for liberty.
Hey, Pat, could you talk about your trip to Rutgers University and talking to the students there? And do you have plans to go to other colleges to speak to them?
Yes, I spoke to Rutgers Young Americans for Liberty, which is officially a nonpartisan group, but they're doing a lot of great work there at Rutgers, spreading the message of freedom. And I went there to speak specifically about drug reform, but we talked about a whole number of issues. We had a very good turnout. We had, I think, about 17 or 18 people without any real promotion, and it was a fantastic conversation. And it's great to know that there's so many people here, young people in New Jersey, who support liberty. But why wouldn't you? That's the reason so many people are leaving the state. We can't afford to live here. We can't find work. 25% of us, live in poverty. So clearly, the current status quo is not working. I'm going to be speaking at Montclair State University on March 26th, I believe at 1 p.m. I'm looking forward to that, and I really take great pleasure in speaking to young people because what I tell them is the truth, which is that I'm here, the other people in the party are here. We're basically temporary placeholders. It's young people that are the future of this movement and the future of this party. And that future has never been brighter, and there's never been a more exciting time to get involved. And it's again those things are pretty easy sell to a young person who experiences this every day, experiences the persecution of being arrested, having their lives destroyed for something like the possession of marijuana, and you haven't hurt a single person. They see this in the economic prospects. They see this in our foreign policy, where we attack a new country every year, and meanwhile our own economy continues to disintegrate. And so our party is at the right place at the right time to continue to build this incredible momentum that we have. And we're building the foundation so that in 5 to 10 years, people are going to understand we're not just a third party, we're the third party. I mean, we're twice as big as the Green Party in almost every state. I mean, clearly our message is striking a chord with people, both young and old, and I think that's very exciting, and I think it's very encouraging, and I think it's a breath of fresh air to people. Because we're not, we're not career politicians. We're volunteer statesmen, and we're not getting any money from anyone except from our members, and that means we can really speak our minds, which is something that a candidate in the Republican or Democratic Party is not able to do. So, I encourage everyone out there, whether you're a student or a business owner, or people think that a regular person can't do anything. I look at the history of America. I think regular people are the only people that have ever done anything good for this country.
Yeah.
And if we don't take a stand now, we can't very well complain in 10 or 20 years when things are even worse, because every day is an opportunity to do something positive. And, it's easy to sit around and complain, but that's not going to do anyone any bit of good. So, again, I encourage everyone to get involved. Check out the website, NJLP.org, and, come out to the convention. It's going to be a great day. It's going to be the Liberty event of the year here in New Jersey, and I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. Well, all right. Thank you, Patrick, and we're glad that you came on, and we'll definitely be at the convention. And also, thank you for coming to speak at the April 15th Tax Day rally.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Take care.
All right. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye. This is the OnFire show. That was Patrick McKnight, Chairman of the Libertarian Party. We got about 3 or 4 minutes to go off the show. And I want to say something.
No, 3 minutes till commercial break, and then we can finalize the show.
Yeah. I just want to say something. I finally saw the House of Cards.
And? What do you think?
Oh, my God. It's crazy.
It is.
You never know what's happening.
Well, apparently they say that the writer worked under the Clinton campaign.
The Clinton campaign?
It's pretty interesting to see that how it plays itself out.
So is Bill Clinton must be bi then. He must be bi. Is he bisexual? Because this president is the one I'm watching right now, Kevin Spacey.
Correct.
He's bisexual.
How about that?
Like in real life?
I don't know. I mean, this is in the movie.
Oh, sorry. In the show. You're right.
Show, he's
right.
bisexual. He's sleeping with his what do you call the guy? He protects him.
His bodyguard.
His bodyguard. His
closely being guarded.
Yeah. And his bodyguard, and both are sleeping with his wife. I mean, what a show! But it shows you the type of crazy stuff that happens in the House. I mean, it happens in Washington, And Washington is a wild city. I mean, you might think San Francisco's wild, Atlanta's crazy, New York is off the hook, but Washington is a wild city.
Power and money are aphrodisiacs.
Yes.
And as Chris Rock said, a man is only limited by his options. He's only as faithful as his options.
Yeah, I was telling Jay, I'm scared. I don't want to go to Washington. I don't want to ever go.
You don't want to go? You don't want to become a part of the party?
Oh, my God.
Join the political party?
Oh, my God. What do I get myself into if I go down to Washington?
I prefer just to enjoy my chickens in my backyard and live life and enjoy.
Oh, God.
Before we go to break, I just want to mention a couple of things. One is if you like this show and you've missed it or you want to hear it again, we're available on iTunes. We're available on Stitcher, YouTube, and other things. And shortly, maybe this weekend, the show will be servicing on Saturday afternoons on Liberty Movement Radio.
That's
available on the iPhone and apps. And so
we should call the House of Cards to try to get in there as a
all
source.
right.
Oh my! I gotta talk about this. One of the strangest things I want to talk about. Oh, please leave a comment on your response on our response about the show on our listener response page. Thank you. Ruben just told me that. But one of the things it's so familiar is you remember the young girl that was in Washington and she was sleeping with the congressman. And they found her, but she wound up missing. Mm-hmm. And this is like, 10 years ago? 10, 11, 12 years ago?
I remember you talking about now, yeah.
And she wound up missing, and then they found her body somewhere in the park in Washington, out the outskirts of Washington.
Like Vince Foster.
Yeah. Well, she was a Congress aide to the Congress. And you see now some of the stuff that's on the House of Cards, some of these aides and what things are happening, and it's kind of it's like you're in a mad society, and how Washington really is, and in the corruption and you can't trust nobody, and the deals that they're making, and it's not betterment for the people, it's betterment for them. And it shows that of a sad America, and you wonder why other countries hate America. If the House of Cards is played over in Saudi Arabia or Egypt or these other countries that hate America already, right. I mean, my God.
But somehow people they watch these things, they get upset, and I go, yeah, but they love their guy. And it looks like Ruben is giving us the old break sign.
We got to go to a break. That guy who? Kevin Spacey?
Yeah.
We'll be right back. This is the OnFire show.
Ready to leave, but he told me he'd change, so I gave him another chance. I was such a fool.
The consequences.
Things only got worse. He started making my decisions for me, about my job, my kids' education, my money, my safety, my future. He took away my choices, but I kept going back to the same politicians.
The diagnosis? Battered voter syndrome.
I fell for the same old lies. They were just playing with my emotions, telling me what I wanted to hear. That's not right. Then I realized that I have the power, and there is an alternative.
Stop the cycle of political abuse. Vote Libertarian. Find out more at lp.org.
Nothing could be funner than to sell more cotton and peanuts to international markets like Cuba. The Cubans can't buy your products because our politicians won't let them sell their sugar here. In fact, Americans pay 5 times the world price on sugar. If you think that protective tariffs make no sense, then you just might be a libertarian. To find out, call 1-800-ELECT-US and ask for a free information packet. The information's free. Your freedom is priceless.
NJLP.org is a libertarian party that's for liberty and freedom. To learn more about the New Jersey Libertarian Party and join the fight for liberty, please visit NJLP.org. At NJLP.org website, you can get updated news on what NJLP.org is doing, check for upcoming events, events near you and learn how you can help NJLP.org. And again, that's NJLP.org. This ad is paid for by the New Jersey Libertarian Party, the party of principle.
Can you imagine living in a country where the children are taught to snitch on their parents, or bank clerks are instructed to report customer behavior to government authorities? Well, that is what is happening in America today. If you're concerned about what the future will bring, then you just might be a libertarian. To find out, call 1-800-ELECT-US and ask for a free information packet. That's 1-800-ELECT-US. The information is free. Your freedom is priceless.
NJLP.org is a libertarian party that's for liberty and freedom. To learn more about the New Jersey Libertarian Party and join the fight for liberty, please visit NJLP.org. At NJLP.org website, you can get updated news on what NJLP.org is doing, check for upcoming events near you, and learn how you can help NJLP.org. And again, that's NJLP.org. This ad is paid for by the New Jersey Libertarian Party, the party of principle.
Hey, you're back with the OnFire show. This is Darryl McKell Brooks here with
Joe Ciano
and Neil Schloss.
As you all know, coming up is Tax Day Rally, April 15th, and it's going to be so exciting. And, I'm so excited about it that, that we're all going to be speaking and get a chance to speak in front of a crowd. And
it'd be nice.
Oh, yes. And we got Barbara Ames, we got Bill Ames, we have Harlem from New York, lady from Harlem.
That's right. We got to get her on the show.
Yeah, she's going to be speaking. There's a lot of other different people. That's if you go to the OnFire News Network. Yeah. And check out the site and type in the Tax Day Rally, April 15th. It's going to be definitely exciting. And I'm still trying to get a heavyweight. And if you can get a heavyweight to come out to speak at the rally, it'll be awesome. That means more people.
You talking about Chris Christie coming out?
No, no. I'm talking about a mental heavyweight.
Oh.
No. Chris Christie is only a heavyweight body-wise. We need mental heavyweights to come out. And
I'd love to have Chris Christie on the show.
Yes, me too. Can I call him a fat bastard?
Yeah, I mean, I assume he'll be fine with it.
No, he won't. He will have me locked up in the morning.
No.
What do you think, Joe?
I think he would. I think he enjoys an intellectual conversation on what's going on.
He's not an intellectual.
Look,
he's not an intellectual. Nothing about Christie is intellectual.
I think everyone has that ability to surprise you.
He surprised me if he wouldn't came here with a hamburger in his hand. That wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if he didn't have a hamburger when he came in.
Well, look, I'd love to have him on the show. I'd like to have other politicians on the show.
Yeah.
So, meatloaf.
Yeah, I would like to have Christie and bring them all on, and have a great political conversation. We definitely have to get some newscasters, people who work for the different news stations to come on, other radio hosts, newspaper editors, bring them all on so we can have a discussion about politics and some of the social issues that are affecting in our state of New Jersey, because people are tired. The gas prices are rising. Before they was under it was the lowest is $1.87, I think, at one time, and now it's $2.15, $2.20, $2.25. Wow. So it tells you something's wrong, and it's a lot of taxes. And Barbara Gonzalez, she's leaving.
She's leaving where?
She's leaving in a couple of years. She's going to Florida.
She's getting out of Jersey?
They can't pay the taxes. If you want to retire, her husband is retiring, and she says that, they can't afford to retire in New Jersey. So they're going to Florida. And, and God bless her, she's going to be still doing some of the things and going on in Florida in the Orlando area. And, she's a great patriot, probably the greatest one of the greatest female patriots in New Jersey ever.
Yeah, once in a while she comes a little nuts.
But I like it, though.
That's okay.
That's what you need.
I mean, she'll on Facebook say, I'm done with Rand Paul, just a spin of if something he says wrong, she's off of him on someone else, Ted Cruz now.
Well, when I ran for United States Senate, they was like, "Oh my God, how do you support Darrell Brooks?" She said, "I'm going to stand by him," and she stood by. I love her for that.
Well, I met her when I was speaking for Ron Paul around Jersey, and she invited me to the Tea Party rally at the Bayshore, right?
Yeah. Bayshore Tea Party. Her and Gordon.
Yeah, and I had a great time. I mean, they were very receptive to Dr. Paul at the time. I mean, receptive to the ideas, not Dr. Paul himself. I think the idea of liberty is important to people. The idea of government growing too big is a lot of people understand and want to shrink government back down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
she reminds me of someone.
A person, like by looks or by actions?
That spirit.
That spirit?
Yeah.
Someone we can call it like Hillary Clinton?
No.
Ann Coulter.
No.
Sarah Palin.
No. But she reminds me of my Jay.
Your Jay.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
September. Because both are they're very loyal. They will stand by you and strong and support you and I'm waiting to see about she has that gun mentality.
Well, she's definitely pro-gun.
Yeah, my Jay is pro-gun too.
Well,
she's pro-gun. I'm still waiting to see it.
I'm pro-defense. I mean, if someone attacks me, I want to be able to defend myself.
Oh yes.
If it's not the gun, it's my arms, it's my mind, it's all the things that make us great. Is a gun? Sure. If you have a gun, I want a gun just to protect myself.
Yeah, me too. And and definitely, as some of you know, I'm getting married September coming up, September 19th.
September 19th, okay. I got to put that on my calendar.
So you didn't know?
I think it's in my calendar already.
Because it might have been August 6th at one time, and then August 10th, and September 19th in Burlington City. Everybody's invited, so we're going to have a nice time. And we guys, I told her that she's having a bride's thing. They're going on a mud run.
A mud run.
And it's for help cancer research, and I just want to have the greatest bachelor party ever.
Oh, that's more important than the wedding?
No. But I want to do one of those bachelor parties a day before the wedding, and next thing you know, somebody's giving her a call. We're in Brazil somewhere.
Yeah.
You got to get home, but no, it's like when you once you've seen the Hangover, it's like one of the greatest things ever. Have a great. I don't want to have that extent like that, but have a great bachelor party.
Well, it'll be fun no matter what. Just
yes.
Hanging out with you guys is awesome.
Oh yeah, and hopefully we can live stream it. That'll be a great.
We could start with a live radio show.
I don't know, and a video, whatever, live stream. I want to have a great bachelor party.
Well, we got plenty of time to figure out where it's going to be.
And then have the cops. At the end, the cops chasing us and we running.
No.
Joe, you'll drive. Joe. Well, you should see Joe when he drives fast. Joe will drive the getaway car.
Hey, so of course, as we come to the end of the show, I do want to bring up tomorrow is my court date.
All right.
Against the state of New Jersey. So, I'm pretty excited about it. I got some great legal paperwork for tomorrow, and
3 minutes.
We'll see what happens.
And I'm getting married to one of the most beautiful women in the world.
11:30 is my court date in East Brunswick. So if anyone listening would like to just go for some to hopefully see what happens.
You want us to go with you on fire? We may be in jail.
This should be on C-SPAN.
Oh yes.
Look, I'm just going because the state has not answered any of my questions I posed to them. So all I'm telling to the judges, here's a 10-day cure letter for the state to answer.
11:30.
11:30 is when I'm scheduled for.
You going, Joe?
With Dr. Robin Brown, Judge Robin Brown.
Robin Brown?
Yeah.
Is that she's black?
She is.
Oh, yes.
So
I can go help. I can do my thing.
No.
My Harry Belafonte, smile and grin and come.
No, I'm trying to be very professional about this. I asked as a courtesy, since I'm a CPA, to have my trial date for after April 15th. They denied that just because I got the card saying it's March 11th. So I was a little upset about that. I thought the respect of my profession along with the lawyer profession would have a kinship to say, you know what, we appreciate what he does. So April 15th or after April 15th would have been fine. But They didn't do that. So, unfortunately, to me, that's strike one against the courts. We're hoping that the judge orders the state to answer me.
I know Robin Brown.
Well, if you do,
Tell
that's
her
great.
you know me. Say it. I know Darrell Brooks.
Yeah?
You'll be all right then.
I don't know. That's a risk. That's a risk. You'll be in contempt of court. You'll be having to come and bail you out.
Yeah. So if I'm not on the next week's show, that just means I might be called in from jail.
You get one phone call.
Darrell Brooks.
Don't call Darrell because his phone doesn't work half the time.
Tell him you know me.
Well, another show has come to an end, boys and girls. I appreciate, of course, the people in the chat room. Steve from Virginia, you have a lot to say. We'd love to have you call in next week.
Yeah, call in.
The guests that have are unregistered, you're welcome to register so your name shows up. Of course, welcome Arizona in the house. We got Jersey in the house, Virginia in the house. Hopefully other states are joining in and listening.
All right.
Another week.
Another week and another week closer to this beautiful September 19th wedding.
September 19th.
Yeah,
September 19th.
Enjoy spring, of course, as it comes.
Yes.
So.
And, I got to say, I went to go try on some suits yesterday.
Nice.
And, so it's one of those difficult things. Like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
I wanted to come through like James Bond. Pierce Brosnan, how he looks.
Right.
She doesn't want that.
Well, you'll look good no matter what.
Yeah, I hope so.
So I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I want to be like Pierce Brosnan.
Right. The man makes the suit.
Yeah, and please leave a comment on our response about our show on the listener response page. That's right, it's the listener response page. Tell us what you think. Tell us if you enjoy the show. Tell us if we're good or bad, or
we always want to be the best. So if we get critiques, we appreciate it. Of course, if you want to advertise or sponsor us, Joe, what's the information on that?
It's
OnFire News Network at gmail.com.
You got it. Thank you.
And go to the OnFire News Network and go to the advertising page, and you can see how much does it cost to advertise, and then you can contact Joe Ciano of Media Jams, and you can check it out. And this is the OnFire Show, and I'd like to thank all our listeners, right?
That's it.
And our guests.
You're the most important. You make the show. We'll do it for you.
Patrick McKnight.
Bill Muckler.
Bill Muckler.
Buy Bill Muckler's book. Come to the New Jersey Libertarian Party Convention, and we'll see you there.
And Tax Day Rally. And you're all invited to the wedding on September 19th.
I wasn't going to say that.
Oh, no. $100 a ticket. $100 a ticket. All right, this is OnFire Show. We're out of here. God bless. See you next week.